chapter we're going to read today is chapter 15, New York, a Dutch settlement. Trying to zoom in here a little bit. Maybe I can't. Okay. The Dutch colonists brought many things to the North American colonies. They brought food such as waffles and coleslaw. They brought activities such as sledding, ice skating, and bowling, and even Santa Claus. Their colony was located right in the middle of England's North American colonies. In the middle of England's, it was between Puritan towns of New England and the plantations of the southern colonies. An explorer for the Dutch. It was a pleasant September morning in 1609, about 2 years after the Jamestown settlers sailed up the James River in Virginia. An explorer sailed his small ship up a wide, deep river. He was looking for a waterway through North America to Asia. The explorer's name was Henry Hudson. He was an Englishman, but he was working for the Dutch. The river he's found is now called the Hudson River. A good trading post. Henry Hudson did not find a waterway to Asia. Instead, he found the Native Americans who wanted to trade valuable furs for his tools, weapons, and colorful cloth. Hudson also found dense forests and good land for farming. He claimed a large area of this land for the Dutch. The Dutch decided the territory would be a great trading post. They called the trading post New Netherland after their homeland. In 1621, a group of wealthy Dutchmen formed the Dutch West India Company. The Dutch government gave the Dutch West India Company the right to settle New Netherland and the right to trade with the Native Americans. The company named a governor to run the new colony. The colony's purpose was to make people who owned the company rich. The company sent a ship to New Netherland with 110 people. The biggest group started a settlement far up the Hudson River in a place that is now Albany, New York. That was as far up the river as ocean-going ships could sail. It was a good place to buy furs from Native Americans, especially the Haudenosaunee. Furs sold for very high prices in Europe. A smaller group settled in Manhattan, an island at the mouth of the Hudson River. This small group built a fort on the island. Buying an island. The next year, more people came to the island of Manhattan. They built a town they called New Amsterdam after the city of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. The governor of New Netherland, Peter Minuit, thought it was a good idea to buy the whole island from the Native Americans. The governor offered some cloth, knives, beads, and other small things to the Native Americans in exchange for the Manhattan Island. The total value of everything the governor offered was said to be about $24. So keep that in mind. They're spending $24 of today's money. Think about what you can buy with $24 today. Probably not very much. And they were able back then to buy this entire island of Manhattan. Now, something that's important to remember is that Manhattan is an island that is in New York City today, and New York City is separate from New York State. So I am going to challenge you to find both of them on Google Earth so you can tell the difference. There's a state of New York and there's a city, New York City, and that is nearby New York State, but they are separate. The governor offered some cloths, knives, beads, and other things to the Native Americans in exchange for Manhattan Island. The total value... Oh, I already read that part. I'm sorry. The governor probably thought he had done very well in the trade. The Native Americans probably thought they had done very well. Native Americans did not think about owning land in the same way as Europeans. They did not think that land could be owned by anyone. They believed they were giving the land to the Dutch to use, not to possess. And the word possess means to have ownership. So the Native Americans didn't believe they were giving them ownership, that they were just giving them the land to use and be successful in. Settling New Amsterdam. The Dutch built houses, streets, and public buildings in New Amsterdam. The houses they built were tall and narrow with steep roofs. They looked like the houses back in the Netherlands. The Dutch built a wall across the island at the end of the town. Outside the wall, they started farms that they called bouveries. The Dutch worked in their new town. They also loved to have fun. Boys and girls in New Amsterdam went to school year round. The Dutch settlers even had special holidays. One of their holidays was called First Skating Day. That was the first day the ponds were frozen and hard enough for ice skating. On that day, the schools closed and the whole town went ice skating. How fun would that be if our classroom got to do First Skating Day? I like that idea. A tolerant people and a harsh leader. The word tolerant means people that are accepting, that will go along with things, and harsh is another word for strict and perhaps unfair. A tolerant people and a harsh leader. Most Dutch people were tolerant. They invited people from other countries to move to New Amsterdam. Peter Stuyvesant was named the second governor of New Amsterdam. Stuyvesant had a wooden leg. If he did not get his way, he would stamp his wooden leg and swear. Stuyvesant disliked anyone who disagreed with him. When someone disagreed with him, he threatened to ship the person back to the Netherlands in pieces. New Amsterdam was doing quite well, but it was growing slowly. Most of the Dutch people back in the Netherlands were happy. They didn't want to move to America. They had jobs and freedom of religion. Very few wanted to travel thousands of miles to start over in New Netherland. So the issues that the English colonists had, where they didn't have freedom of religion, they were forced to be part of the Church of England, the people in New Netherlands, they don't exactly have those same problems. There's not as much motivation for them to come to the colonies. The English take over. Life was very different for the people who lived in England in the 1600s. They had many good reasons to leave, as I was just explaining. The king wanted an English colony, but not a Dutch colony between the New England colonies and the southern colonies. New Amsterdam was valuable because it was the gateway to the Hudson River, which was a valuable trade route. In 1664, a war started between England and the Netherlands. The King of England gave his brother the job of taking New Netherland from the Dutch. The king promised his brother, Duke of York, that he could have the colony if he was successful. The Duke of York sent warships and several hundred soldiers to New Amsterdam. As the ships sailed into the harbor, the English prepared to fight. We can see here the Duke of York sends hundreds of soldiers to capture New Amsterdam for England. They do not want this to be a Dutch colony. They want it to be owned by England. Peter Stuyvesant became very angry. He wanted to fight the English, but he could not. First, he did not have enough gunpowder to fire his cannons. Start paying attention because this is going to be part of your exit ticket. Second, he did not have enough soldiers to defend the town. And finally, almost everyone in New Amsterdam refused to help him. They wanted him to surrender. That way, no one would get hurt. So, side note, remember, they don't really like their leader, Peter Stuyvesant, because he is incredibly harsh. He doesn't like anyone who disagrees with him. And that's not really something that a leader should be doing. A leader should be tolerant of their people. So they don't want to help him. And he's kind of out of luck. He doesn't have gunpowder and he doesn't have enough soldiers. Peter Stuyvesant has no choice but to surrender or give up. The English took the colony of New Netherland without firing a single shot. The English and Dutch get along. The Dutch and the English got along well in the New York colony. The people continued to work hard, but they also had fun. The Dutch and the English even shared church buildings for religious services. The Englishmen allowed freedom of religion just like the Dutch. They even allowed Peter Stuyvesant to stay, but he was not in charge anymore. He became a farmer on Manhattan Island. New York City. Today, New Amsterdam is called New York City. The place where the Dutch built their wall is still known as Wall Street. The wall was built to keep farm animals from wandering into the town. In the tall buildings along Wall Street today, businesses make deals worth millions, even billions of dollars every day. The area where the Dutch had their farms, Arbories, is now called Bowery. Amsterdam Avenue is a very busy street in New York in New York City. High schools, parks, and even neighborhood are even named after Peter Stuyvesant. All right, now that we have read this, let's get back to our paradox so you can answer your exit ticket.